عن أمير المؤمنين أبي حفص عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إنما العمل بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. Through the sincerity and truthfulness, this is what caused the people, i.e. the Sahabah, to have a very high status. It wasn't necessarily how much they memorized or how much they prayed in terms of numbers. It was the sincerity that they had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can see the examples of this even with the scholars that came later. Look at Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah for example. Even in, like within the Shafi'i madhab, there's two main scholars that they have. One scholar is called Al-Rafi'i and the other is Imam An-Nawawi. If them to agree upon something, that's what they consider the madhab. Okay? If they differ, what's considered the main position of the madhab? If they differ, they take what Imam An-Nawawi said. Sheikh Al-Maqrami, who was the Sheikh of the Shafi'is in Masjid Nabawi a few years ago, he would swear by Allah that Al-Rafi'i was more knowledgeable than Imam An-Nawawi. He swore by Allah that Al-Rafi'i was more knowledgeable. However, if they did differed, whose statement would they take in that madhab?
An-Nawawi.
An-Nawawi's. Why? When the ulama talk about Imam An-Nawawi, he was only 45 years when he passed away. Very, very young. But look how young he was. But there's no masjid or house except that you have Riyadh al-Salihin in there. Or the first book a student of hadith studies is the 40 hadith of Nawawi. They say the reason that he was given such a high status was because of his sincerity. Even the book 40 hadith of Nawawi, many scholars wrote 40 hadith books. Many of the Salaf, Abdullah ibn Mubarak wrote a book of 40 hadith. But no one knows of those books. When you say 40 hadith, you say Arba'een, I'm studying Arba'een. The only thing that comes to your head is Imam Nawawi's book. The ulama say, why? It's sincerity. Even those 40 hadith, if you look at how he made the book, he didn't actually write all 40 hadith. He took 26 from somebody else. He plagiarized. Before him was Ibn Salah, right? Ibn Salah came and he said, I've gathered 26 hadith that summarizes the whole religion. And he mentioned them. Imam Nawawi came, took those 26, added 16. Make it 42. But no one, if you took that now and you put it in, turn it in, what happens? It's going to come up red, right? University students now. Huh? It's going to come out red. It's not going to be accepted. But no one attacks Imam Nawawi for it. Why? He mentioned it. He said, this is what happened, I took this from here and this and that. Right? So he wasn't hiding anything. He was sincere. And he says, attributing the knowledge to who you got it from, that causes barakah in knowledge. So he was sincere. He didn't try to hide anything for himself. Right? Everything that he did was just to benefit the Muslims and to gain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now,
indeed, a person only reaches knowledge in accordance to his sincerity.
Now, this part here is a summary of this principle. Indeed, a person only reaches knowledge in accordance to his sincerity. And this is taken from the statement of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. Ibn Abbas, he said, إِنَّمَا يَحْفَظُ الْمَرْءُ عَلَىٰ قَدْرِ نِيَّتِهِ. A person would only memorize according to his intention. Narrated by Ibn Asakir and others. What did Ibn Abbas say? إِنَّمَا يَحْفَظُ الْمَرْءُ عَلَىٰ قَدْرِ نِيَّتِهِ. A person would only memorize according to his intention. According to his intention. So, the more sincere a person is, the more he will memorize. Memorization becomes easier. And if you might see someone else who, it looks like he's not sincere, obviously we don't know what's in the heart, but let's just say he's an open sinner and so on, but he's still memorizing, then remember what we said, we're not talking about any knowledge, we're talking about beneficial knowledge. So maybe because he wasn't sincere, even though he's memorized the Quran or he's memorized hadith, because that sincerity wasn't there, Allah's not allowed him to benefit from. And it's actually become a proof against him, rather than being a proof for him. Now.